Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 24 Career Mode here on the channel, where we're bringing in some big reliability, durability upgrades this weekend coming into Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix, where we have made great gains here at Trackhouse Racing, coming off of an incredible effort in the last episode in Melbourne, with the fourth place effort really just taking advantage of a lot of things going wrong for others. A great day for Trackhouse Racing, both cars scoring points, and we beat our teammate of Carlos Sainz for the first time in the 3 races this season. But we had really big news coming into this weekend that we have been kind of working on and behind the scenes making happen. Of course, coming to Trackhouse Racing, one of our goals is to use Trackhouse as an opportunity to get me to venture out into other motorsports and showcase what Formula 1 drivers can do behind the wheel of other forms of cars. It was announced this weekend that I will be behind the wheel of a Indy car for the Indianapolis 500 for Trackhouse Racing. Here's what Justin Marks, Trackhouse CEO, had to say.
We're looking forward to putting Gary behind the wheel of an Indy car for the Indy 500 in a few months' time. This is a big deal not only to us, Gary, but it's also huge for Formula 1.
Does this mean Owen will miss the Monaco Grand Prix? And who would be in the car in that case?
That's correct. Gary will miss the Monaco race, and we will announce our plans for the driver soon.
So you hear the news. We're in the Indy 500 with a Trackhouse Indy car, but that means we will miss the Monaco Grand Prix. Now, you guys will still see the Monaco Grand Prix, don't you worry. There's a plan very much in place there. But who's going to be in my car? That's the next question. Trackhouse, of course, is such a thinking outside of the box kind of organization, not only in Formula 1 here, but of course in real life with their NASCAR program. And of course, now they've expanded into MotoGP and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see who they decide on going into my car, because it could be maybe a bit of a surprise, but we'll have to wait and give it some time and see how things work out. This is really the season to make this Indy 500 idea work. Trackhouse, of course, is not a team that's competing for podiums or competing for race victories, so, you know, me giving up one weekend isn't going to be the end of the world. So it's really the perfect time to give me the opportunity to make an attempt at the Indianapolis 500, and we're going to be going up against NASCAR superstar Kyle Larson as well. That's going to be an exciting one. Of course, Kyle Larson considered probably the best race car driver in North America and one of the best in the world, just like a Max Verstappen. I really do believe Kyle Larson is on the just about same level as a Max Verstappen here now as we come through, though, into qualifying, focusing back in on the weekend. And I was making some mistakes here in Q1. It wasn't pretty, and I was down in P20. I was looking quicker right into the end of this lap. So now starting my 3rd lap here in Q1, I would end up getting blocked by Yuki Tsunoda. So there goes more time. That one actually frustrated me quite a bit. So we had to recharge the battery as quick as we could, and we would get back on it for a 4th consecutive lap. This would be my 3rd lap on the same set of tires, and we would find actually more time than we had found in the 2 previous laps. We would find about half a second. I am using overtake now, because apparently the AI are now using overtake since like the recent patch in qualifying, so I am starting to use it now as we come through the final few corners. Now we're down in 22nd, but a 0.6 of a second gain is going to put us through into Q2, P16, while how about Carlos Sainz, P12 on the grid there? So both of us slipped through. Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Sargent, Zhou, and Frederick Vesti, Haas rookie there at the bottom of the grid. So we come through into Q2, not really expecting a Q3 entry. Of course, we have not been able to put Trackhouse into Q3 yet this season, and we've come into this weekend with a very small upgrade, but we have brought mainly durability upgrades, so that doesn't affect, of course, the performance of the cars. So yeah, expecting a Q2 based off of what we saw there in Q1. 12th for Sainz, 16th for myself, but I put a really solid lap together, and as well, you look on the leaderboard, Carlos Sainz is at least not 12th or worse, so he's up there in the mix now as we come through these final few turns, and it's going to be a really competitive lap for myself. We're going to come through to cross the stripe and go P6. You can see my reaction on the left. I was quite surprised, and it would stick P8 and P9 for Sainz. Trackhouse not only gets their first car into Q3 for the first time, they get both cars into Q3 for the first time. Stroll out, and Perez as well in 12th. Dennis Hauger down in 14th position. Suddenly, I mean, we have found some life here in this Trackhouse Cadillac, and now on my one and only lap here in Q3, Sector 1, I absolutely hooked it up here. Now, Carlos Sainz P9. How about Pierre Gasly P8 having a strong season 2 so far, but but I was very happy with the car in Sector 1. We were still a little ways off. Verstappen in P6 now. We go through the double right-hander, got through there pretty well, and then we go down into the slowest part of the circuit there in the hairpin, down to about 55 to 60 miles per hour, and then we go through the double left-handers here, trying to keep as much speed and momentum as you can around the sweeping left-hander, and hard on that throttle down the straightaway through 130R, of course, flat, and then the final heavy braking zone here through the right-left now, and then a sweeping right-hander to bring us to the line. What's it going to be? It felt like a pretty solid lap again to the line. DRS, it's P10. We didn't beat anybody, but I didn't feel like I could do any better, so I didn't bother. And we're still a ways off of our teammate of Science, who does seem to have a bit more pace than me this weekend so far. Piastri, Norris, front row. Piastri looking for a bounce-back weekend. Leclerc was so close last episode. Can he find a way to win today? Let's find out and head to the grid on Sunday.
Welcome along then to the magnificent Suzuka International Circuit, a stone's throw away from Issa Bay in the beautiful Japanese countryside. What surprises lie in wait for us today at the Japanese Grand Prix? A lap of this historic racetrack covers 3.6 miles. It's the only time during the season that we race on a figure-of-8 circuit, and the drivers can expect some intense G-forces through the 18 corners on offer here as they experience some of the highest average apex speeds on the Formula One calendar. Keep an eye out for overtakes into the final chicane. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Fernando Alonso, Verstappen, Hamilton, Gasly, Sainz, Golden Boy, Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Ocon, Hauger, Albon, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Sargent, Joe, and Frederick Vesti. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race.
Great result last week, Gary. Let's keep the momentum flowing today.
Yeah, James, 10-4. Obviously a lot of luck there on our side in Melbourne, but I don't see why we can't have a top 10 run today at least.
Here we go then, the formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out.
Everybody's starting on mediums except for the pair of V-carbs.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
Right, boys, seems like our car favors the circuit there with Carlos and myself in the top 10 for the first time, so I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we get the result we deserve today.
We've got a great car this weekend. Good luck and watch out in turn 1 on the start here.
All right, boys, let's keep it up today. Let's open up the gap.
We can win this today, guys. I'm sure of it. Let's stay on top of strategy.
Good luck, Gary and everyone. Let's get some more points.
We're ready to roll then here from the 9th and 8th position for the pair of Trackhouse Cadillac machines. Here we go. It's going to be lights out, and we're racing here in the Japanese Grand Prix from Suzuka, one of the most historic circuits in motorsports now. What a great launch from Sainz. He's going 3 wide in the middle between Hamilton, contact between him and 7-time champion Gasly turns back into Sainz. Somehow they avoid any damage and Sainz gains nothing out of it. He maintains P8, we maintain P9. How about that start right off the bat? Dennis Hauger side by side with Esteban Ocon now, as they're going to go wheel to wheel, and actually Ocon's going to get the best of it now. And up front, it's Lando Norris maintaining control of this race. 2 wins in 3 races on the season so far for Norris. He was under so much pressure in Melbourne from that guy that's in second right now. Charles Leclerc, Ferrari have found something, and they didn't look that great in the first race there in Bahrain, but they really found something, it seemed, last episode specifically, at least with Leclerc. Dennis Hauger has been struggling so far quite a bit since this season has started, but definitely looks like Leclerc is starting to find his stride a little bit. Ferrari are bringing some upgrades, of course, and whatnot. And Trackhouse as a whole, I think we are as well exceeding expectations. We can't really look at last episode as, of course, that's not something that we have as an expectation, as we have a big tank slapper right there. But, obviously P4 in Melbourne, that was just a fluke. So 8th and 9th though, this is raw pace, and we're quite excited about that. It really does seem like this circuit is suiting our Trackhouse Cadillac car so far here today and just overall this weekend now, as it was interesting because both myself and Sainz were lacking a little bit in Q1, but we both figured it out in Q2. We got 27 laps of racing, plenty of time for things to happen. Sainz has kind of had the upper edge on me all weekend, and he was starting to show that again as well here in the Grand Prix now, as he was opening up a bit of a gap to myself, putting some pressure on the back of the Frenchman there in the Alpine of Pierre Gasly, as up front, starting lap 3 already, battle for the lead. Here goes Leclerc with the DRS. He's going to breeze around the outside to the lead. Charles Leclerc, who called his shot in the pre-race, saying he thinks they can win today, and there he goes to the point. P1 for Charles Leclerc. Norris drops down to second. We have had, of course, 2 different winners in 3 races. Norris with 2 wins, Piastri with 1 in Jeddah, and Piastri, of course, starts down the order behind us as we slip and slide a little bit. Of course, grid penalty there for the Australian now, who qualified on pole position. As you can see up ahead, Sainz actually gets past Pierre Gasly there, so he moves into P7, but both of those guys right now quicker than me as we have some more battles happening. How about this? Dennis Auger continuing to struggle. He actually loses out to Ocon, who takes 13th place away. Auger down to P14, as myself just kind of settling in 0.8 of a second of an advantage on Lance Stroll, who I think we're faster than right now. Stroll doesn't seem to quite have the pace he needs, and I think once I drop him from the DRS, he's going to be under a lot of pressure from Oscar Piastri to lose that 10th and final points paying position now, as we've still got some battles going on. Here's George Russell now on lap 5 on the inside, clearing Fernando Alonso. Bit of a close call there, but through into the 3rd podium spot goes Russell. Down to 4th goes Alonso. Verstappen in P5 as there's battles right in front of us as well. Sainz and Gasly again, wheel to wheel. Gasly slips through, and Sainz back down into the 8th position. Those guys battling, great for us because I don't feel like I have the raw pace right now, so we need some battling to get ourselves up there into the mix. But yeah, I feel like we're honestly like probably 10th or 11th place car, because Piastri and Perez are both coming up behind us here now, as Fernando Alonso actually goes back past George Russell, takes the 3rd position, and Norris is still putting some pressure on the back of Charles Leclerc, but it wasn't over for Fernando Alonso. He's really in some of these battles right now, as a lock up there in turns 1 and 2. Gasly with the right front wheel locking up allows Sainz to slip back through, but that wasn't it for the lockups over the course of these next few moments, as Fernando Alonso, who just made that pass for 3rd at the end of lap 6, actually has a lockup of his own, goes wide, loses 2 positions. Russell and Verstappen slip through. Verstappen with that catastrophic failure in the last episode in Australia, which led to the huge incident including Hamilton and Russell. What a just dramatic moment that was. One of the most dramatic moments so far of the F1 24 career mode here, but we are starting to slowly reel in Gasly and Sainz, but Piastri has run me down after passing Lance Stroll, and Perez is now working on Lance Stroll as well. So we know Piastri and Perez are going to be faster than us, but with the way the AI are, the battery, and the DRS is in this game, we might still be able to hold our own against these guys. It's going to just come down to limiting mistakes. Don't give them an opportunity to slip through, and speaking of mistakes, right there, we slip, we slide, and we leave just a lane just enough for Piastri. That was brave. He sent it up the inside, realizing how hard it is to gain positions at this point, and he went for it and took it there. Just a little slip from myself. You got to be so careful in this whole circuit around the curbing, but especially sector 1, of course, with the S's section. Here's Fernando Alonso actually rebounding. He's past Hamilton, past Verstappen. He was already ahead of Hamilton, as, oh my goodness, he locks up again, and now he loses a spot to Verstappen. 2 lockups there in just a couple of laps, so he loses a spot after immediately gaining it. As we continue P10, Piastri has run down Gasly and Sainz, but he's going to struggle to get past them now, and we're not far away from our pit window, lap 13, but you can see I just don't have the pace here today to keep up with my teammate of Sainz and the others. Now they have run away by about 1.5 seconds, and we have 1.6 seconds to Perez, who's now gotten past Lance Stroll, so that's going to be the next car trying to run us down and just put us outside of the points into P11. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pit cycle is going to make things change up a little bit here now, but the gap would stabilize to the cars in front. We're keeping it right about 1 second to 1.5 seconds at a time. Perez, though, is reeling me in that Red Bull, so he is going to get here. It's just, when is he going to get here? I wouldn't be surprised if it was within a couple of laps, but we come to lap 13. This is our pit lap, so we're going to come in and get the hard compound tire on, and what's been a pretty calm Grand Prix so far as we have Charles Leclerc bringing Norris in at the end of lap 13. The Ferrari and the McLaren, they're going to go head to head. This could really determine who wins this race, who comes out first. Alonso as well coming in. Mediums off, hards on for both the Ferrari and the McLaren, and Leclerc gets out first. He's going to be in front here once this pit cycle is complete. Russell, Sainz, others going an extra lap. I'm coming in here at the end of lap 13 as well. Like I already mentioned, we'll come in, get my mediums off as well, throw that hard compound tire on as we come into our pit box, hoping for a smooth pit stop. And for a brand new team, we've had a very strong set of pit stops so far to kick off this season. So a well-trained pit crew here as we're going to come out in front, of course, of Ocon, Albon as well, and the Alpine and the Williams. So P18 as it stands, Russell, he's going to pit from the lead. He has a whole lap to really do whatever he wants, and this could be interesting. He comes in all on his own, gets those hard compound tires on, and as he exits the pit lane, it might be close with the leaders. Here comes Leclerc, and Leclerc's going to get the lead, but hold on. Russell's going to slip through. He's going to get past Norris. He gets in between both of them, so that's big right there. That gives him an opportunity to win this race. I honestly don't see a path to victory for Lando Norris, and for myself, we come out in front of both Piastri and Perez. Piastri loses 2 spots in the pit cycle, and I went and looked at the replay. It wasn't a bad pit stop. He just simply got held up on traffic, so he would lose 2 spots due to that, and that puts us back into the top 10 as we now come out just behind Pierre Gasly and our teammate of Carlos Sainz. Now as we come through to lap 16, it looks like Sainz as well actually kind of backing up a little bit here, maybe struggling on that hard compound tire.
I'm struggling for confidence on this tire, guys. It doesn't feel good.
All right, Gary, Carlos is lacking pace on this tyre. You should be able to get him.
So that's the next question. Can we get him? And I think we're going to have a good opportunity to do so here. Now approaching 10 laps to go in a few laps time, and yeah, you can see that of course Sainz backing up is putting Gasly of course to my front wing as well. So I think we can get Sainz, but if we can get Sainz, I think we've got a good shot to get Gasly too. What a day it would be if we could manage P7 on raw pace in a Trackhouse Cadillac. Let's see what we can do as we come through to lap 17. Gasly actually gonna be the first one to make a move. Not gonna happen. Sainz shuts the door, stays ahead for now as we would maintain just position here, holding stationary for the remainder of the lap, still slipping and sliding a little bit now as Perez and Piastri just behind, but coming to 10 to go. Let's go through the grid.
It's Charles Leclerc leading with 10 laps to go. Russell and Norris just behind, all well within DRS range of the Ferrari.
He was so close last time out in Australia, and I know he's going to make it hard on both these guys behind him here. What do you got for us, Ted?
Yeah, guys, just want to point out some drivers having a good day here. Alonso up in 4th with his best run so far this season. How about the Trackhouse team? The first week they got both cars in the top 10 on pure pace. Gasly 2 in 8th.
A few drivers not looking as good, of course, including Sergio Perez, Oscar Piastri and Lance Stroll. Dennis Hauger as well in 12th.
You see Perez pressuring the young Canadian of Owen in this first sector. Owen in his second season is used to the pressure now. The Red Bull is faster, but just simply cannot find a way to pass.
There's Hauger all on his own in 12th. Not a pretty first few races to his F1 career so far.
I'm a bit surprised by Ocon today. Usually he's a lot closer to Pierre Gasly. That isn't the case, however, today.
How about Audi? They have been pretty much equal with Trackhouse so far, but today we see Audi struggling massively in 19th and 21st. The worst they have looked all year, while Trackhouse is looking great.
This track clearly suits one team and not the other. We could very well see the opposite next round in Miami, which will be the first home race for the new American team.
And there you have through the grid Sebastian Vettel, of course, team principal at Audi. They're having a bit of a rough day at the bottom of the grid now. Gasly through on Sainz starting lap 19. There you have it. Now Sainz could be vulnerable. We might have an opportunity to go past him. He beat us in the first 2 Grand Prix of the season. We beat him last episode. Can we go 2 for 2 here in these back-to-back episodes? Norris sets the fastest lap of the session now as we come through into the final braking zone, and we're all over the back of Sainz, but is he close enough to Gasly? I don't know. I think he's not. We might have an opportunity right here to get Carlos Sainz. We have the run now to the back of the Spaniard. We go right. We fake bang to the left side. We're going to be wheel to wheel on the run down towards turn 1. We breeze past the Spaniard through into the now 8th position we go, and now we set our sights on Pierre Gasly with 8 laps remaining in this grid. Grand Prix. A nice little pass there on Sainz, but I think he should be able to hold off the Red Bull and the McLaren of Perez and Piastri. I don't see those two going anywhere, to be honest, with just the way the DRS is in this game and the battery and whatnot. They shouldn't go anywhere. Verstappen making moves now as well to the outside of Alonso. He'll go take P4, the four-time champion, 4 consecutive championships, just like Sebastian Vettel. He won 4 in a row, but has not been the start to the season the Dutchman would like, and Red Bull just not looking that caliber that they were previously. Now, as the move to the inside of Gasly into turn 1 and a slide, we caught the curb. What a save, what a move. Into P7 we go here in the Japanese Grand Prix, and now we can try and run away, but I can assure you that's not what's going to happen. We could not run away from Pierre Gasly. He would actually stick with me and continue to put pressure on me. As we come to the end of lap 21, you can see on that proximity radar and on the leaderboard only a few tenths of a second behind, and now he's going to be the one with DRS and ready to put the attack on. I'm going to drain my battery under 20% all the way down to 10%. It's not going to be enough. I go back to the left side of the circuit. Gasly dives up the inside into turn 1. We back out of it there. I didn't want to avoid, or I wanted to avoid potential contact. Gasly back up into P7, and now we have to just kind of recharge our battery over the course of a lap or two, and we might only get one real legitimate opportunity to get Gasly back before this race is over, looking at how many laps we have left here, coming to 4 laps to go while Leclerc is in control. This is like the exact same thing we saw in Australia, where Leclerc was in DRS range of Norris but couldn't pass him. Well, now Norris and Russell, they're right there with Leclerc, but they can't pass him as we come up on these closing laps here now. And you can see my battery now back up to 80%. It actually is recharging really well here in Suzuka now, but I wasn't quite close enough yet to make any moves on Gasly as we approach 3 laps to go, and the battle for the lead could get a little bit interesting here before this is over. Don't rule out George Russell in a move, trying to put Mercedes at the top step of the podium and what's been a McLaren top step of the podium all season long. And here we go, 3 laps to go. Here comes George Russell with a big run to the inside of the Monegasque driver of Leclerc into turn 1. He gets the job done. Russell slides up in front of him, and to the lead, George Russell now, as we continue behind Pierre Gasly with these final 3 laps underway. Still not close enough to quite make a move. Right on the back of him, and I think we're going to get a good opportunity here on this final lap, or with 2 to go, either one. Leclerc now has to find a way back past George Russell if he wants to get career win number 11 here today. Now, can he get the job done as we slip and slide just a little bit? Sainz maintains P9, Perez and Piastri, they're stuck in 10th and 11th. They simply cannot go anywhere now as we come through to 2 to go, and you can see that Gasly has too much of a gap on me to really be able to do anything here. So it is going to be all about charging the battery on this penultimate lap, sticking with Gasly, making sure we're close enough when we get back to the front straightaway to make a move into turn 1 and try to get P7 and as well establish a 9th place effort for Sainz, putting both of the Trackhouse cars in the points for 2 consecutive races after getting both cars into Q3 for the first time. What a statement weekend this is turning into for Trackhouse as we continue to exceed expectations as a brand new team in Formula 1 here now. Coming to the final lap though, Russell in front, but Leclerc, look at the run! A massive run from Leclerc with the DRS, and he drains his battery. He dips a wheel into the grass even and slides across the nose to the lead. What a move from Leclerc on the final lap of the Japanese Grand Prix. Out of nowhere he came, and now we're going to try and do the same on Gasly. A run to the back of the Frenchman. He goes right, we go left around the outside, clear at the apex into turn 1, back into P7, and as long as we don't make a mistake, we're going to be able to hold on, I imagine, here now through the S is already making a bit of a mistake there. Got some grass on the left sides, missed the apex in the next one, hit the curb, too much curb there. Now 3 consecutive corners that didn't quite go the way it should have, but we maintain P7. We will absolutely take it now as Charles Leclerc as well, just in control. What a move there, putting himself in position to win this Grand Prix. I don't think Russell's going to have a shot towards 130R, so it should be all Charles Leclerc here now as we come up on these final sectors now, but it's all Leclerc through the final chicane, rounding the final turn. For the first time this season, it's not a McLaren winning, it's Ferrari and Charles Leclerc.
Yes guys, let's go. Awesome, thank you all so much.
Leclerc wins his 11th race of his Formula One career, followed by Russell and Norris. As for myself on the run towards 130R, here comes Pierre Gasly. He's going to show the nose to the right side. We're going to drag race towards 130R. We drain the battery completely. We get out of the apex ahead, and here he is right on the back of us now into the final couple of corners. It's going to be P7 as long as we don't loop it around on this final turn. Sure enough, P7 in the Japanese Grand Prix. Gasly with a run, not quite enough. We established the 7th finishing position and 9th for Sainz, both Trackhouse cars in the top 10.
Great drive there, mate. 7th and 9th for the team.
Man, that was awesome, guys. Great car to drive, best car we've had for the season. Obviously, we need to bring that forward.
And Leclerc to the line, to the checkered flag. It's King Charles today. He wins.
And there you have it. Leclerc, or King Charles as Crofty likes to call him, at the top step. He gets to celebrate his first win of Season 2, and we talked about the rough season, or rough start for Ferrari, and, you know, not ideal for Leclerc, and certainly not ideal for, you know, the rookie there of Dennis Hauger. He has not been looking good. He was outside of the points while his teammate went and won the race. Now, it was very difficult to pass. We never really saw Piastri or Perez go anywhere. Piastri, of course, if it didn't have the grid penalty, could have been a totally different weekend for him, as we hear from Lando Norris on the podium.
Disappointing day for sure. We should have won, but we just weren't good enough today. I'm looking forward to Miami.
You hear Norris's thoughts. He thinks he should be at the top step of the podium with McLaren today, but for the first time this season, it's the Ferrari getting a win, not McLaren. It's always great to see other teams win, other drivers, of course. 4 races, 3 different winners. Great start to the season overall when it comes to diversity in winners. So things you like to see. Alonso actually looking very solid for Aston Martin today, and what's been a rough start to the season for them as well. P4, while Lance Stroll way down the order, dropped to 14th by the end of the Grand Prix. Just really lacked pace today, the Canadian did. But in the point standings, of course, Norris loses out a little bit to Leclerc, 20 points back. Verstappen, 34. Piastri drops to 35 back after 2 consecutive bit of a rough weekends for him, as we are P10 with 19 points to our name. In the Constructors, McLaren on top by 51 over Red Bull, 57 over Ferrari. That's going to do it for me. I'll see you guys next time out from Miami. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.